Hello and welcome to the English podcast with Ayesh. Here, we practice English together, slowly, clearly, and step by step. Let's learn and grow your English today.
Sure. Welcome back. We're doing something a little different today.
Yeah, a bit of a change of pace.
Usually, tearing apart these dense research papers on AI or macroeconomic trends, heavy stuff.
Right. Supply chains,
Yeah.
geopolitics.
Exactly. But today, it's incredibly basic.
It really does. I mean, if you just skim it, you might think we've completely lost the plot.
I thought so too. It's from the English podcast, and it is exactly what it sounds like. It's a dialogue for people learning English. Simple sentences, clear grammar. They're talking about reading, walking, cooking. I almost just, tossed it aside.
Thinking there's nothing really here for us.
Yeah, not enough me on the bone. I read
Yeah.
it again, and I realized there's this surprisingly cohesive philosophy of life hiding in these simple sentences. It's deceptively deep.
That is exactly why we're covering it. It's so easy to dismiss this kind of material as just functional. Here's a verb, here's a noun, whatever.
Memorize this list.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's not just teaching vocabulary. They're actually presenting a kind of manifesto for a high-value, low-cost lifestyle. They're modeling how to be happy without spending a ton of money.
Manifesto is a strong word for a chat about walking in the park, but the more I looked at it, the more I think you've hit the nail on the head.
Right.
So that's our mission today. We're going to peel back the layers on this. We're not here to critique their grammar or talk about tenses. We're here to unpack the specific habits they propose and look at why they work, from a psychological perspective.
It's about how they construct a balanced mental state in a chaotic world using 5 very specific, very simple activities.
And the key here, and I think this is why it really stood out, is that they don't frame them as productivity hacks.
No, or wellness trends. They're not selling you a course.
They're just presenting it as life. But when you look closer, every single one of these activities, reading, walking, music, learning, and cooking, it serves a vital function for your mental health.
Absolutely. It's a complete system in a way.
Okay, so let's dive into the first pillar, which is reading. She comes right out and says it's her favorite activity, but she's very specific about the when.
Yeah, that detail is crucial.
She doesn't just say, I read when I'm bored. She says, I love reading in the morning or before sleeping.
That bookending of the day is so important. It's not accidental. It's a strategic deployment of attention.
What do you mean by that? Strategic.
Well, think about the modern morning. What's the very first thing most of us do? You roll over, grab the phone, check notifications.
Oh, absolutely. Immediate urgency. It's reactive.
Right.
You're letting the world dictate your mood before you've even had coffee.
Exactly. By reading first thing, she's engaging with a single narrative, a single idea before all the chaos rushes in. She's setting a proactive tone.
She's deciding what her brain consumes first.
Precisely. And then there's the evening. She says it outright. It makes me feel calm and relaxed.
Right. So if the morning is about setting an intention.
The evening is about deactivation. We all know blue light from screens messes with sleep. We know doom scrolling raises cortisol. Using a book as a sleep hygiene tool, it's like a buffer zone between the world and your rest. It's a transition ritual.
It effectively closes the tab on the day.
Yeah.
I was also really struck by if you ask some productivity guru what they read, they'd list, I don't know, biographies of billionaires or something.
Or dense investment strategies, yeah.
But Sarah lists 2 things, self-help books and short novels.
It's an interesting mix, isn't it? It feels like it could be a contradiction.
That's what I thought. One's about work and improvement, the other's pure escape.
I don't think it is a contradiction, though. I think it points to this idea of productive leisure. With the self-help books, she's learning new ideas. That's the growth part. But then she balances it with short novels. She's not obsessing over growth 24/7. She's allowing for narrative escape, too.
And she even adds that meta layer. She says, reading helps improve my English vocabulary. So she's relaxing, but she's also sharpening a tool.
That's the genius of it.
Yeah.
It totally removes the guilt. We often feel guilty for sitting still because hustle culture tells us we should always be doing something.
For sure.
But if you frame it like Sarah does as improving vocabulary or learning ideas, it validates the rest. She gets the rest and the skill. It's compounding value.
So, okay, reading is the solitary static activity. But then we pivot to Ayesh, and his strategy is kinetic.
Yes.
His favorite activity is walking. And unlike Sarah's morning routine, Ayesh is an evening walker.
And that contrast is important. Sarah's preparing for the day or winding down for sleep. Ayesh is processing the day that's already happened. He says he walks in the evening, specifically, To clear my mind.
Clear my mind. It's a phrase we hear all the time. It's almost a cliche. But what's actually happening in the brain? Why does walking work better than, say, just sitting on the couch?
Well, think about the modern workday. We're sedentary, staring at screens 2 feet from our faces. We're cognitively overloaded. Walking is the physiological opposite of that.
It's movement.
It's movement. It's optic flow things moving past you. And it's open awareness. When he leaves his desk to go for a walk, he's basically performing a shutdown ritual. He's physically signaling to his body that the work cycle is done.
He says the result is feeling fresh, which is funny, right? Because physically you might be tired after a walk, but mentally it's a reboot.
It flushes out the cognitive fatigue. But I do want to push back a little on the idea that it's this pure Zen walk.
Because he admits he doesn't walk in silence.
No, he says, sometimes I listen to podcasts or music while walking.
I caught that too. And I know some purists would say, hey, if you have headphones in, you're not clearing your mind, you're just filling it with different noise. Is he kind of cheating at mindfulness?
It's a valid point, but I think he's doing something different here. It's more like cognitive offloading.
Wow. What's that?
If you just walk in silence, sometimes your brain just loops back to work problems. You start replaying that awkward meeting or whatever.
Oh, 100%. The anxiety hamster wheel.
Exactly. By engaging a different part of the brain, listening to a story or some music, you actually distract the anxiety centers just enough to let the rest of your system relax. The podcast is like a decoy for the anxious brain.
He's layering activities. He gets the cortisol regulation from the exercise and the dopamine from the entertainment. It's efficient.
And accessibility.
Yeah.
You don't need a gym membership. You don't need fancy gear. Just shoes and a door.
It's the ultimate low barrier entry to mental health.
And speaking of audio, that brings us to the one thing they both agree on immediately.
Music.
Yes. As soon as Sarah mentions it, Aisha's like, same here. It's the universal connector.
But again, they don't just say, I like songs, they talk about utility. Sarah gets very specific. She likes soft and calm music, but only when she's studying or doing work.
This is so fascinating. She's not talking about music as entertainment. She's not going to a concert or dancing. She's talking about music as an environmental modifier.
An environmental modifier. Okay, break that down for us.
She says it helps her focus better. She's literally using sound to construct a bubble around herself. The world is distracting. There are noises, interruptions. Soft, calm music creates a consistent sensory baseline. It masks the chaos and helps induce a flow state.
So for keeping track, reading is for emotional regulation, walking is for resetting the brain, and music is for focus. These hobbies they're all tools.
They are, and I think that's a much healthier way to look at hobbies than just killing time. For Aisha and Sarah, they're tools used to adjust their state of mind. Anxious, read. Scattered, walk. Need to grind, put on some music.
They're self-medicating with activity. I love that.
It's powerful.
Okay, let's talk about the most unusual one on the list. Because, usually people say hiking or gaming. Ayesh says his hobby is learning new skills.
It's a bold choice for a hobby. Most people would call that a chore.
Right. And he doubles down, listing speaking practice, pronunciation, and new words.
We have to remember the context. This is an English learning podcast. So you have the host telling the audience that his hobby is the very thing they're struggling with right now.
It's a bit circular, isn't it? It's like a chef saying their favorite hobby is chopping onions.
Or a mechanic who loves tightening bolts on the weekend. But I think there's a deeper message here about mindset. Ayesh says, learning something new keeps life interesting. He's reframing learning from a chore into a form of play.
That's a massive shift. Most adults hear learning and they think stress. Ayesh is putting pronunciation practice in the same category as a walk in the park.
It's the growth mindset applied to leisure. And it also bridges the gap between him and the listener. He's saying, I'm not just a teacher, I'm a fellow learner. It validates their struggle.
Sarah backs him up right away. She calls it perfect. It creates this shared identity, like we are the kind of people who enjoy getting better at things.
Which is a very empowering identity. But up to this point, have you noticed a pattern? Reading, walking, listening to music, practicing words.
They're all pretty solitary. You do them in your own head.
Exactly. They're internal, about the self. But then Sarah brings up the weekend, and the dynamic shifts completely. She introduces cooking.
Right, and not just making dinner. She specifies trying new recipes for my family.
That little word for is doing so much work there. This isn't about her calm or her focus anymore. It's about contribution. It's social.
But there's this funny little distinction between how they see it. Ayesh calls cooking a life skill. He's very practical about it.
Ayesh sees the utility, the survival aspect. You have to eat, so cooking's a skill. It's logical. But Sarah reframes it as a source of happiness and creativity. She turns a domestic chore into a creative project.
It's the difference between I have to put food on the table and I get to try this new recipe.
And doing it on the weekend, it suggests she's prioritizing the process. During the week, cooking is a rush. On the weekend, it's slow food. It's tactile. It grounds her in the physical world after a week of abstract stuff like reading or learning.
And the family aspect balances out the solitude of the other habits. You need that internal time to recharge, but you need the communal contribution to feel connected.
Precisely. The combination is what makes the lifestyle sustainable.
So we've got these 5 pillars: reading, walking, music, learning, cooking. When you step back and look at this whole manifesto, what's the thread tying it all together? Ace actually says it out loud.
He does. He says, you don't need a lot of money for your favorite activities.
That is the thesis statement right there. The philosophy of low-cost happiness.
It's a radical statement in our consumer culture. I mean, think about the ads we see every day. We're constantly told that fun has a price tag.
Fun is a trip to the Maldives or a new sports car.
Right. Ayesh and Sarah are just rejecting that premise entirely. The cost of entry for their list. Walking is free. Library books are free. Podcasts are free. Cooking. You have to buy groceries anyway.
It democratizes well-being. It puts control back in your hands. If happiness required a yacht, most of us would be miserable. But if it can be found in a library book, then it's accessible right now.
It's sustainable. It doesn't require an upgrade cycle.
Yeah.
And then Sarah adds this beautiful layer on top. She says, everyone has different favorite activities, and that's what makes this unique.
I loved that line. It seems so simple, but she's tying these activities to identity.
Yes. She's suggesting we're defined by how we spend our free time. You aren't just your job title. You are a reader. You are a cook. You are a walker.
It's identity through action, not consumption. You are what you do, not what you buy.
A powerful takeaway from a simple English dialogue.
Because they don't just say goodbye, they give the listeners homework.
The listener practice moment.
Yeah. Ayesh asks, what is my favorite activity and why? And Sarah adds, try to answer in English, even if it's just 1 or 2 sentences.
It's a call to action. But notice what they're asking. They don't just ask what, they ask why.
That why is the kicker, isn't it? It forces you to be intentional. You can't just say, I like watching TV. You have to ask yourself, does TV make me feel calm? Or does it just make me feel numb?
Exactly. By articulating the reason, you clarify your own values. It's a low-stakes challenge with a potentially high-value insight.
So we've gone from a simple script about vocabulary to a guide on mental clarity, flow states, and the value of low-cost leisure. It's pretty amazing what you can find when you really look.
It is. And if I can leave our listeners with one final thought to chew on,
Please do.
if you look at the 5 activities they chose, they fall into 2 distinct categories. I like to call them production and restoration.
Production and restoration. Okay, break that down.
Production is about output. It's creating or improving something. So cooking a meal or learning a new skill, you're expending energy to make something happen. It gives you a sense of competence.
Okay, that's the doing part.
Right. And then there's restoration. That's about input. Recovery. That's the walking, the reading, the listening to music. You're letting the world or a story or a song wash over you to replenish your energy.
So the question is about the ratio, the balance.
Exactly. The question for you, the listener, is, do your own hobbies balance these 2 needs? Or do you lean too heavily one way?
That's really interesting. Are you all output, constantly doing, making, achieving, side hustling, and never letting the tank refill?
Or are you all input, constantly consuming content, watching, scrolling, listening, and never actually flexing your own creative muscles?
That is a fantastic question to sit with. Finding that balance might just be the real key to the simple joy they're talking about. You need to breathe in and you need to breathe out.
Balance is the ultimate skill.
Well, there you have it. A huge thank you for joining us on Ayesh and Sarah's World. Hopefully it helps you look at your own downtime a little differently.
Thanks for listening.
Catch you next time.